All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to a daily update of my 1000 days challenge. This is day 183, so let's get things started. All right, so first and foremost, you'll notice the balance remained the same. There's no new trade being closed in that sense, so that in terms of the equity, has no change in that sense. All right, then moving on in terms of the market update itself, as you know, today is Saturday, I'll be covering the weekly update as well. So as you compare last week to this week, you'll notice there's two major change, which is for S&P 500 and also ASA Sharp, which is actually you do see the correlation in the sense of the US and both the China stock market, both in terms of the non-tech stock in that sense. So basically, they have transited to somewhat like a bearish short-term momentum, but in the market structure-wise, it's still looking neutral in that sense. So you see over here, there's a bearish engulfing candlestick on the S&P 500, whereas for the ASH actually breached the. You also have a bearish engulfing candlestick on the ASH on the weekly chart as well, so that's something to take note of. Bear in mind that overall it still looks bullish for both ASHR and Nasdaq, S&P 500, as both are still above the 20 exponential moving average on the weekly chart itself. However, there are some underlying weakness which I'll cover later on in the daily market structure itself, as you will see. Okay, so over on the daily market structure, potentially we do see that there could be potential support at least 50 simple moving average on the daily chart. That's for S&P 500. And for Nasdaq, there's still potentially some room for a little bit of a drop or even a larger drop to this horizontal support region at this 12.2K mark. And then for ASHR, like what I mentioned, I've been waiting closely. It's now that it has broken below the 20 exponential moving average on the daily chart. I'm looking for it to retrace to somewhere along here, along the $40 mark region, before I look to add further position for long-term investment-wise. That is for ASHR. And for KWEB and Nasdaq wise, I do see potential stronger pullback after seeing this parabolic run up. So potentially, if we do see support at this 20 exponential moving average on the daily chart or even the 50 simple moving average to retest this previous resistance turn support, then there will be a great place to add as well. So around this $80 mark would be the excellent position to add in, I would say. All right, and finally covering on Bitcoin itself. So on the daily chart, we do see some sort of strong rejection. So even though we potentially did close above this downslope trend line, things still looks a little bit weak. Potentially that could be the run up yesterday could be due to purely on the news speculation on Elon Musk in terms of the Twitter update of his bio profile, and also on the Reddit in terms of GameStop and how things is playing out in the traditional market as well. All right, that being said, I'm still in this trade setup which I mentioned yesterday on the 4-hour chart. So it's close to my stop loss, but I'll stick to it for now. And reason being is still price is still maintaining above the 200 simple moving average on the 4-hourly chart. But bearing in mind that having it being stay over here for extended period, like for example, more than this 4-hour candle does leans to the side that it is more likely to break towards the downside. But since the distance from here to here is really quite minimal, I'm not going to close out my trade for this small little gap. If it does hit my stop loss, I will take the stop loss. Otherwise, potentially it could still have a strong bounce towards the upside. So let's see how things goes. Although personally, I'm still leaning towards the downside momentum, that we could have a stronger test before we push towards the upside if this trade pattern was to remain valid. And since the daily chart didn't sort of close strongly above it, then potentially we could still consolidate for a little bit longer before having a more decisive move towards the upside or downside in that sense. So yep, otherwise this trade, like I mentioned, still remains valid. As long as the stop loss is not hit, I will still be in the trade itself. As for the ASH, I'm looking for clear support on the daily chart on the 50 simple moving average. Otherwise, it will just let it continue to retrace further before adding more shares in that sense. So yep, that's more or less about it. Otherwise, I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.